Okay, so good evening, everyone. Um, for this very evening, we will be talking about team in group dynamics. So, before, let's hear some overview. A team's potential depends on the people who the team joins together, but also the dynamic processes that transform those individuals into a task performing system. Teams create reliable relations among their members, who find that by working collectively they can reach goals that would elude them if they work alone. When the work to be done is difficult, complicated, and important, such as building a bridge, flying a spacecraft to Mars, or performing cardiac surgery, people turn to teams. So, here are the contents of team. Working together in teams. What is a team? When to work in teams. A varieties of teams. A systems model of teams. Second, input. Building the team. The team player, knowledge, skill, and ability are KSA. Diversity and men, women, and teams. Third is process. Working in teams. Interlocking interdependence, coordinated interaction, compelling purpose, adaptive structure, and cohesive alliance. Lastly, output, team performance, evaluating teams, suggestions for using teams. So, in working together in teams, what is a team? Team is a group that pursues performance goals through interdependent interaction. Nowadays, the word team is used to describe a wide assortment of groups in business settings, in university, in military, even in online games. So, team is a task-oriented interdependence. This has a specialized form of interdependence. Its name is teamwork. So, what is teamwork? Teamwork is the process used to combine members' efforts effectively. So, team is uh, is usually reserved for a particular type of a group, one whose members are working together in the pursuit of a shared goal. So, when to work in teams? Uh, Teams work when level of difficulty, complexity, and interdependence and importance. So, level of difficulty. Other tasks are difficult ones because they require enormous amount of time, effort, or strength. Complexity and interdependence in general, as interdependency increases, group members feel more responsible for successfully completing their work. And importance, groups may also help individuals deal with the stress of decision making and consequences of their actions should they fall. So, when were teams invented? Teams may be de rigueur in most organizations today, but for centuries, humans did not work in teams. The word was reserved for harness animals. The first documented use of the word team to describe groups of humans working collectively did not occur until the 1600s when Ben Jonson wrote in uh, Bartholomew Fair, "We are like falling into a whole jar of butter. They had need to be a team of Dutchmen should draw him out." So, the word team apparently derives from the Old English and Norse word for a bridle and fence of a set of draught animals harnessed together. So, dito nanggaling si team. Okay? So, even in teams, there are varieties. So, in varieties of teams, we have work teams. These are the millions groups that provide or provide or produce specialized and often highly desired goods and services through their members' coordinated actions. So example of this is production teams, construction crews, performing ensembles, sports teams, or etc. And in management teams, these groups usually have the authority to make decisions that influence other individuals and groups in the organization. And in management teams, there are board of directors, top managements, executive teams, supervisors, managers. I mean, um, a pack of supervisors or managers. And then in project teams, an expeditionary team will only exist for the duration of the exploration that it is undertaking. So example, about project teams is kani siya nga team is kanang ma-absorb ano gud siya ma-dissolve. So kinsa nang naa sa team, sa project team. So commission research and development, task forces, and in advisory teams, these teams often produce a set of conclusion or an official report that analyzes a specific and sometimes contentious issue and then offer recommendations regarding how things should be done differently. So, nadira si panels, steering committees, review boards, mentoring groups, and then last is self-managing teams. So, self-managing teams is most groups require the services of a leader, and teams are no different. So, there are four types of um, managing teams. There are manager-led, self-managing, self-designing, and self-governing. Um, according to Hackman, the authority matrix, there are four levels of team self-management. So there are in every type of a team, or I mean in team self-management, um, na sila ay pare-pareho na responsibilities. So executes tasks, monitors and manages work processes, designs the teams and its context, and sets overall direction. So, mas ano diri si self-governing, and then ikaduha si self-designing, and then ikatulo si self-managing, and lastly is the manager-led. So, unsa ning system models of teams? Paano siya mag-work sa teams? So, this is what we called the input process output model or IPO. So, unsa ang naa diri sa IPO nganong kailangan siya or nganong gisuggest siya sa nag-study ani nga gamiton siya. So, IPO or input process output model is input. Input include any antecedent factors that may influence directly or indirectly the team members and the team itself. Process are operations and activities that mediate the relationship between the input factors and the team's outcomes. And in output, outputs are the consequences of the team's activities. The team's emphasis and outcome means that the tangible results of the team effort draw the most attention. So, the input-output model is rather than assuming the variables in the system are linked to one another in simple one-to-one relationship system, theory recognizes factors that set the stage of teamworks. And processes is that to facilitate, and outputs is the variety of consequences. So here if you look this tawag nito figure, so input, unsa ang nasa input? So individual level factors, team level factors, and contextual and environmental factors. Then processes, down to processes, sustaining interdependence, coordinating interaction, goal setting and monitoring, developing and maintaining adaptive structures, and maintaining cohesion and resolving conflict. And then down to outputs, performance outcomes, team level outcomes, and then member level outcomes. So beyond the IPO model, um, it was IPO has the limitation na notwithstanding, but the IPO model provides a heuristic framework for this chapter's examination of teams. The next section considers inputs with a focus on who is recruited to the team and how their personal qualities shape the team's interaction. The chapter then turns to issues of process before considering ways to evaluate the effectiveness of teams. So, input, building the team player. So, in team player, all teams are composites formed by the joining together of multiple, relatively independent individuals. So, there are personal traits, team composition, team orientation. So, in personality traits, even emotional stability and openness are likely associated with success working with others since they are indicators of adjustment. Confidence or self-esteem and flexibility. These teams members' personality traits not influence the effectiveness of individual members but also the overall performance of teams themselves. And in team composition, each members brings to the team a set of unique personal experiences, interests, skills, abilities, and motivations, and those personal qualities will influence how they act as team members. And in team orientation, even though some people value working in an organized, task-focused group, others are quick to announce, I don't like working in teams at any opportunity. So, what is KSA? KSA are knowledge, skill, and ability. So, you need to build this KSA in a team because if some teams fail because they simply do not include people with the qualities and characteristics needed for success of the task, a team performance depends in part on its members' knowledge, skills, and abilities. So, KSA are generally of two types: task-relevant proficiencies and interpersonal skills. So, in task-relevant proficiencies, a team of mediocre individuals can with enough practice, good leadership, and determination, reach lofty goals, but teams cannot work miracles. Mediocre members make for mediocre team. And in interpersonal skills, on the social side, teams function best when the members have sufficient social skills to get along with with other people. So, diversity. So, in diversity, to in building what we call in building a team, diversity of a team is determined by the extent to which members are different from one another. A sample of the many ways that people do, in fact, differ from each other. And in diversity, there are diversity and team performance, studies of team diversity, and designing for diversity. So, diversity and team performance is diversity brings variety to the team, and with that variety, the intertwining all of the three disciplinary outlooks. So, studies of team diversity. Diversity is a mixed blessing for teams, contributing to gains in performance but at the same time adding the potential for process loss. And in designing for diversity, diverse teams may be better at coping with changing work conditions because their wider range of talents and traits enhances their flexibility. So these are the categories and the types of diversity. So we have social category differences. So the types of diversity is race, ethnicity, gender, age, religion, sexual orientation, and physical abilities. While in differences in knowledge or skills, education, functional knowledge, information expertise, training, and experience and abilities. In differences in values or beliefs, cultural background, ideological beliefs, and political orientation. In personality differences, cognitive style, affective disposition, and motivational factors. And in organizational or community status differences, tenure or length of service and title. While in differences in social and network ties, the types of diversity is work-related ties, friendship ties, community ties, and in-group membership. So, men and women and teams. So, same-sex teams are becoming increasingly anachronistic, whereas women were once borrowed from many types of teams in business and organizational settings. Changes in the social climate and employment law have increased sex-based diversity in the workforce. So, the myth of male bonding. The myth of male bonding is this perspective suggests that it was males, not females, who affiliated in same-sex groups for adaptive reasons so that over time, male bonding become a stronger psychological force than female bonding. So mas ano ang kuanda pag magdugay when tawag nito ang pag ang team is kanang same sex lang, like lalaki lang yun siya, so mag strong daw ang team. And then men more frequently enact a task-oriented interaction style, whereas women tend to enact an interpersonal-oriented interaction style. So, magkaiba sila. So, heterogeneously gendered teams. As with other forms of diversity, sex-based diversity can create subgroups within the team and increase levels of conflict. So, in some cases, teams with token members will outperform homogeneous teams, even when the teams attempt tasks that are traditionally reserved for homogeneous teams. This tendency was more pronounced among the men in the group and also in countries with traditional conceptions of the role of men and women in society. So, process, working in teams. So, ano yung mga process to work in teams? So, there are interlocking interdependence. So, in interlocking interdependence, there are shared mental models and transactive memory systems. So, in shared mental models, knowledge, expectation, conceptualizations, and other cognitive representations that members of a group have in common pertaining to the group and its members, tasks, procedures, and resources. Transactive memory systems naman is information to be remembered is distributed to various members of the group who can then be relied upon to provide that information when it is needed. So, coordinated interaction. So, in coordinated interaction, there are action processes, transition processes, and interpersonal processes. So, what is in action processes? Action processes is teams are at work. Their task-related actions are so perceptually vivid that the action processes that make up the teamwork portion of their activities often go undetected. And transition processes naman is that teams attempt tasks that are so complex that they cannot be completed, at least with any degree of success, without advanced planning. While in interpersonal processes naman is that teams require a degree of unity, yet the pressures often encountered by groups as they strive to reach their goals can produce tension within the group. So in compelling purpose naman is that real teams model. So in real teams model is that a theoretical analysis of teams that identifies the key factors that distinguish effective real teams from other collective enterprises, including a compelling direction and enabling structure, supportive context, and effective leadership. So in cohesive alliance, there are three: cohesion, social cohesion, collective cohesion, and emotional cohesion. So in social cohesion, socially and emotionally close to each other. And in collective cohesion, they strongly identify with their team. And emotional cohesion, they are effectively bonded. So output, team performance. So how to evaluate teams? So according to the studies, the success of teams is that anecdotal evidence and research findings converge on a verdict that favors teams but with reservations. Case studies approaches are generally but not uniformly positive. And then beyond productivity, team are task focused groups, and so the major criterion for determining their success is their performance. And sa team learning is that teams require group rather than individual practice. Although although in years past, organizations often sent their personnel offsite to individually receive training in team skills at institutes and workshops. Together, team members need to be trained together as a unit rather than separately. So, in team performance or output, suggestion for using teams. So, there are fidelity of teams innovation. So, the popularity of team approaches has brought with it a significant drawback in the rush to claim that they are using team methods. Individuals sometimes call work groups teams, even though they lack the defining features of real teams. Training in teamwork is too many organizations create teams but then do little to help team members develop the skills they need to work in those teams. Team training is the empirically supported instructional methods used to teach individuals and teams the cognitive, behavioral, and affective skills required for effective team performance. So, team building is instructional methods used to promote the development of interpersonal and teamwork skills in individuals and teams. In the name of team building, organizations often place their teams in challenging environments so that the members will learn teamwork skills but also develop a sense of unity as a result of surviving the ordeal. In team performance, there are situational support. A final condition for implementing teams is the degree of organizational support available to the team. So, features of the organizational context, such as support for technologically based group support systems, develop, development of a group level reward system supplement for or complement, individual rewards, degree of collectivism in the organizational culture, and the availability of external coaches who can assist the team to navigate trouble spots and will increase the probability that team-based approaches will be successful. So, thank you for listening. That will be my um, topic. Hope you thank you.